All right, for our animation project, assignment 5, we have drawn our storyboard and it showcases a transformation. And I've chosen to use my character, this guy, and I've chosen to move him around just to introduce him. But moving a character isn't enough of a transformation, right, to really showcase what we can do controlling every pixel on the screen, which is what Photoshop allows us to do. So in the middle of my storyboard, he gets chewed up by another character, which I do not have any assets for yet, so I'm going to have to build those. And some fun things happen. He gets spit out, and he is different at the end than he is at the beginning. And then it will loop because I will have it reset. So he'll kind of shake off all the spit or something and get perky and dry again. So what is my next step? It's to find the assets I need. So I'm going to create a folder in my assignment 5 folder that's called Animation Assets. If I was doing a claymation film, these would be hiring all the sculptors and all the textile artists to make all the different characters and all their different expressions and all the different clothes and then all the different props that they interact with. So animation is all about assets. It's easy to think of it like puppet theater. And that you have all the props and characters. So I already have one major asset, and that's my character. And I'm just going to steal that from assignment 2. And we know that's plenty big resolution. The other asset I might use is my setting. Where is this happening? And so that's going to be my assignment 1, just my flattened JPEG of assignment 1. I might change it a little bit. In fact, I might not want it to be dark and rainy throughout my whole thing. And if I don't want to have to worry about always animating the rain, I might change that. So I'm actually going to give myself some options by going to my assignment 1 folder and not just pulling the JPEG as the asset, but pulling the full Photoshop file. And when I do that, I don't want to remove it from my assignment 1 folder. I want to duplicate it. Even though it's almost 1.5 gigabytes large, I hold down Option, drag and drop, and it will duplicate it into this folder. So that's an asset that I will build. After it's saved, I can move it in. Then I don't need this one anymore. Now there are other assets that I haven't created that I'll need to build or find, and I can composite them, I can paint them. And one of those is going to be that T-Rex. And I've used a T-Rex before, so I know there's good kind of toy reference of a T-Rex available. And the size I need for it, it only needs to be screen resolution, because you don't print animations, you show them on a screen. So we want it to be large enough to use in however I want, and I'm going to be zooming in on its head, for an 8-inch by 8-inch by 150 pixel per inch space. So that's about 1 megapixel. So I'm going to look at images, and I'm going to limit it so it doesn't look really de-resed. Well, I might as well limit it to 2 megapixels, right? And see what options I have. Now this is a toy. These are made by Popo. I collect, I get these for my kids because they're great images, great reference. And obviously there aren't any photographs, legitimate photographs of T-Rexes. My son would argue that it needs to have feathers. Right? I don't know if the best reference I can find is going to have feathers. But we can see. So this is pretty good, even though it's kind of blurry. It's large enough to work screen resolution, right? And what I like about it is it shows the mouth open. It's pretty close to what my storyboard is already. And I'll be able to animate that jaw, opening and closing doing all the things it needs. So I'm going to just steal that. And then as a bonus, it's a transparent PNG file. So if I drag and drop that into my assets, if drag and drop doesn't work, just save it to the desktop. That's making it tricky. It's a web file. Let me see. Let's get it right from here. Yeah, so I might not be able to use this because it's a web file meant only to be viewed on the web. So if I can change its format, but it's kind of a protected format. So sometimes you can't use the reference you want. But what I could do is make a screen grab of it at its full resolution. So this is about how much of the creature I need. So this is a hack for protected files, whether they're flash protected or otherwise. But I'm going to steal as much of it as I can, just so I can use it in my animation. For educational use, not for profit. Because remember, everything online, you should assume that it's copyrighted. It's just how well they protect it or not. That kind of matters. All right, as a backup for the body, I'm going to use this one. And I like how sharp it is. And it's similar coloring to the other. I'll get rid of this web file. Whoa, everything's moving. All right, so I'm going to do a combination of creating my own assets and compositing them. But if you use composited elements, always make sure you're finding large enough reference. This is a Walmart toy. Yeah, I don't like that one. All right. Okay, I'm going to move these into my assets folder. And instead of cleaning each one up individually, we're going to move them all into one Photoshop file that's the right resolution, and we'll clean them up there. But I'm going to work with my Photoshop landscape probably first. Okay, so looking at my first panel, this is a way you can approach assets, because you very well might need more later. I might need more for spit, or for blood, or for bones breaking out, or whatever it is. But I can add those as I go, as I kind of get a feel for what the potential of these puppets are. So I'm going to follow my storyboard. I'm going to keep it open and kind of small in the corner here. And now I'm going to open up my assets. And first I need to create my background asset. Now a lot of you have panning backgrounds. And so that's something I can build into my storyboard. There's nothing here that says the setting can't change along with the character. And so in animation, you very commonly have character assets, and then you have background plates, like larger sheets for the background. And I have that with my first assignment. But I'm going to reformat this assignment now. I'm going to combine all the layers I can and treat it more like a stage. And I'll have some props in the foreground that might overlap my characters. So I'm like making a puppet stage here. And I'm going to figure out what I want to do with the sky and with the coloring and with the rain. Because I don't want my characters to be like that late 90s Godzilla movie where just to save money on special effects, they did everything in the rain and at night, right? If you don't need to do that, why do that? So even though it gave good atmosphere to here, I can turn off some of my texture overlays, right? And turn off the rain. I can turn off some of my otherworldly components. Keep it more straightforward. So maybe just something like this. I can play with the coloring a little bit, maybe dial it back, because now this is not just a landscape in its own right. this is my stage setting. Okay, and now I'm going to merge a lot of these things. Let's see. So I'm going to merge all the way up to the house here. And all I have to do is click on the topmost layer and then say layer, well, select them all, hold down shift, then layer, merge layers. And that will take all of those layers turned off and on and make them one flattened layer for me. Now if I decided, well, that was too rash, I want to use some of those, like maybe I do want to use the rain, I want to flatten before that. So I'm going to move the house underneath the rain. I think I want to leave the house. So I'm going to label that separately, and I'm going to merge down everything underneath the rain layer. So it just depends how many assets you want to play with, because we have a lot of potential here. And then I just did Command E, that's the shortcut for merging selected layers. Notice I didn't hold down Option. So it's not making a copy. That was just merging. We are getting rid of layers because they get confusing. So let me understand my stage here. I have a texture overlay I can use. I've got background, trees, ruins, and sky. And I've got rain that I can turn on and off. Let's create some rain assets. What if I want this rain, let's see, this is going this direction, right? I'm going to call this rain 1. Then I'm going to duplicate this whole folder. This is one way we can organize layers. Command J. And I'm going to call this rain 2. And with rain 2, I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to make its opacity less. Well, let's see. It should match the same as the other. So that's 77. So I'll make this opacity 77. But how can I make this rain look different than the other rain? Well, I can do it by moving the raindrops a little bit, right? And rain moves so fast, it shouldn't take much. So I'm just going to use what I know about compositing and take this texture overlay and simply move it down and over. Okay, so now I have one asset that's like this and one asset that's like this. The problem is they're overlays, so it's hard to tell how different they look clicking all of these. But when I put those back to back, it will make the rain look like it's moving a little bit. And if I need a third rain asset, I can go ahead and build that. You can see how animating is really all about organizing layers. And we never delete something that we've used. We just make a copy and then make changes to it. So now with rain 3, I'm going to move it a little bit more. Command T, just use my arrow keys, nudge it down, nudge it over. Hit return. So now I have 3 different rain assets. And that can be turned into what's called a rain cycle, where I'll only play one of those frames at a time, and it will look like the rain's always moving across my whole setting. Okay, then I have the house, because I want that in front of the rain. Then I can get rid of this. Then I have this driftwood, and I'm going to separate this driftwood into more layers, because I want my character to probably be in here, right? And I want there to be things that overlap my character. So I've already done a lot of that work in assignment 3. So if I open up my assignment 3 Photoshop file, the one where he was placed in the front here, one where he wasn't Godzilla, I can steal those assets that were in the foreground of my character. I can